just think about if you're in Western Canada, you've been told for a decade by the Prime Minister and the ruling government, the Liberals, we don't need pipelines. Oils and gas is yesterday's news.
Yeah.
We don't need your resources. We're actually thinking of spending $60 to $80 billion on a high-speed rail that would serve Toronto, Peterborough, Montreal, Laval, and Quebec City.
So we're not even thinking about you.
We're not even thinking. So I get why there's a segment of the population and some politicians saying, hey, we're 5 million people.
Yeah.
We're an important part of Canada. Alberta is home to over 5 million very patriotic Canadians, including our oldest daughter, my family, who lives in Edmonton now. However, there is a segment of the population not very happy with Confederation and what they call the Laurentian elite, and they'd like to do something about it. To talk more about it, as always, thrilled to be joined by the man with the plan, the one and only Mike Wixon.
I wish I had a plan. This actually seems like somebody tried to have a plan.
Yes, they did. Now, there is a segment of the population who are hinting at separating from Alberta from the Confederation Canada, to whether they're independent, whether they're part of the United States, whether there's something else, we don't know. But there is a number of signatures as of today, Tuesday, May 5th, that does raise an eyebrow.
302,000 signatures were submitted. They only needed 178,000, which, I mean, my first question arrives right there. When I get to 178, okay, let me round it up, 200,000.
And they just kept going.
Yeah. Everybody just keeps signing. Okay, so maybe a point was made, and this could trigger a referendum as early as October, when Danielle Smith has announced a referendum on another of other topics.
It also could bring back memories of things that happened in Alberta in the early 80s. That they were coming out of a big oil boom.
Yeah.
And they felt like Pierre Trudeau and the Liberal government, oddly enough, in the time in Ottawa in the early 80s, were treating them unfairly. And Premier Peter Lougheed at the time, and a lot of Albertans felt like they were being hard done by the federal government. And unfortunately, there has been time in history where it feels like everything is centered on the Toronto-Montreal corridor.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in Alberta, now a growing province of 5 million plus, and a lot of people out west are like, what about us? When does some attention and money come to our part of Canada?
You know, it's interesting, Jim, and I will point this out. The TPL local team and myself will be heading to Edmonton in just a couple of weeks. Is your daughter home from school for the summer?
No. She lives there now.
She lives there now full time?
Yeah, because she's doing her master's at the U of A. So, yeah, she's there 5 or 6 days a week working on experiments.
You know what, Jim? I am delighted to accept her offer to take the crew and myself to dinner in Edmonton.
She doesn't have that kind of money. She's a student.
She does if Dad sends it to her. But here's some numbers that I think are a little bit realistic, because what we're talking about now, actually having spent some time in Calgary and surrounding area in Alberta recently, several times for TPL, the sense that I get, even though and our friend Javon there makes some great points on the separatist side of things and very eloquently outlines what needs to happen for Albertans to be happy. By and large, I don't get the blowback of we want to separate that you get historically from, let's say, Quebec trying to make a move.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Quebec had 2 referendums.
Yeah.
And the biggest one in the 1990s, not long after, we had a change in government and Jean Chrétien was prime minister. It was awfully close.
Yeah.
Too close for a lot of people. So that has always been hanging over the head of Confederation in Canada for the last 45, 50 years, is Quebec's status within the nation and whether or not they would separate. The Alberta thing is new. But just think about if you're in Western Canada, you've been told for a decade by the Prime Minister and the ruling government, the Liberals, we don't need pipelines. Oils and gas is yesterday's news.
Yeah.
We don't need your resources. We're actually thinking of spending $60 to $80 billion on a high-speed rail that would serve Toronto, Peterborough, Montreal, Laval, and Quebec City.
So we're not even thinking about you.
We're not even thinking. So I get why there's a segment of the population and some politicians saying, hey, we're 5 million people.
Yeah.
We're an important part of Canada, the Confederation. With the price of oil the way it is, with the problems in the Persian Gulf, Mike, That's not going down anytime soon.
I wonder if you think that helps or hurts the separatist case.
Well, I think it hurts them because all of a sudden the province and the country are making a lot more revenue. And to Mark Carney's credit, they're twinning the pipeline to the Lower Mainland, the Vancouver terminal. You hate them all you want, but Donald Trump just signed off on another pipeline from Alberta south to Wyoming. So that's more revenue.
Right.
And it seems like the wheels really are in motion. And Wabkanu of Manitoba, who we're both big fans of, is determined to get that liquid natural gas pipeline from Alberta to Churchill, Manitoba to ship to Europe. So all of a sudden, after a decade of darkness when it comes to Alberta and how they're viewed by Ottawa and the Laurentian elite, people are starting to open their eyes that, hey, they're an invaluable asset to this country. And now with everything going on with Europe, with Putin, with Trump, with the Persian Gulf, we can use their resources to fund our nation.
Well, 58 to 68% of polled, and you know how I feel about the polls, polled in Alberta say that they are opposed to separation. 65% say they would vote to stay in Canada.
Right, and I believe that.
Which is a very different perspective on it. I'm voting to stay in Canada.
Right, and I think that is the majority sentiment of people, especially in the big cities. But I can see why there's a segment of the population trying to keep this in the news to say, hey, don't forget about us. That's all they're asking. And I know a lot of people in Ontario, Quebec look down on their nose at Danielle Smith. She's trying to get her fair share from Ottawa and from the confederation pie that is Canada. That is a big problem now. Carney, even in this fall or spring economic summit, there are cuts. All of a sudden you're reading the fine details and this is being cut and this is being cut, but they have to find a way to save some money and make money at the same time. And there's no better way than oil and gas from Alberta.
The truth is, I think a lot of people are confused about how Danielle Smith feels about separation. She's never supported it.
No.
And I think that that's one thing that needs to be noted. Not that I've seen anyway, that she's not
publicly.
She allowed for a referendum based on them delivering a message from the people that was meant to be significant, 178,000 signatures, so that she would take it seriously. But 53% of Albertans think she would vote to separate.
Interesting. So I'm of the belief that she wouldn't. I think she's savvy enough and politically smart enough to realize it would be political suicide to be pro-separation.
Yeah.
So behind closed doors, maybe over cocktails with business leaders and certain power brokers, maybe it's a different story. But within a First Minister's conference, within a meeting with Prime Minister Carney, within a press conference, I highly doubt she would ever come out and say that.
I actually think you're right. There was a full court press on really putting a lid on the separation discussion by the federal government, by the relations, new pipelines being approved. I think a lot of that was almost reactionary, which makes you think Trump is basically saying, hey, guys, just so you know, I was kidding. Let's build a pipeline. I'm not taking it. We got to build a pipeline, though.
And then all the people go all through in the Midwest U.S. through Montana and Wyoming, where that pipeline's going. This is the best deal ever.
Absolutely,
it's big for them.
It would be better in my mind that to see Alberta, and I bet that they would do this given the choice. If you said to Alberta, we can expand into Edmonton, we can expand, near the oil fields and start processing, and begin to send a finished product to at least our own nation, that might bind us a little tighter,
absolutely,
with Alberta overall. And the other thing is the separatist movement takes another quick hit right now because they're getting answers, as you point out, on other fronts, such as, major projects that could benefit Alberta. So you're right. I think that while they sat in the dark for a long time, they're really making hay at the moment.
And they're making hay at the time the price of oil keeps going up every week.
Yeah.
And Dan McTagg, the guy's price wizard, who was on this very channel not long ago, he was bang on with all his predictions. Bang on, to the point that Rosie Barton, who was on CBC complaining about how expensive it was to fill her car with gas.
Right.
So it's hitting everyone.
Even Rosie Barton?
Yes.
And she has endless amounts of money for gas.
Right. And so when she's complaining, there's a problem. But the point being now that with all this extra revenue, it's going into the bank accounts of the province, and they may have gone from a deficit to a surplus in the course of a few months No
Okay.
one's complaining about that now.
Let me make a hard left, and then we'll make a hard right. The hard left, in my mind, is, okay, the separatist movement really is a vehicle of pressure for Alberta.
Yes, I agree with that. That's a great way to put it. And no one's saying that, Mike. You nailed it. It is a way to say, wait a second. Don't forget about us. We have financial and political needs in our province, and everything can't be focused on Ottawa, Montreal. Don't forget the West.
Do you think that Albertans are warming up to Carney? I don't know. This is conjecture, by the way.
I do now, in the course of the last few weeks, that I think they realize that he is a small C conservative dressed up as a liberal.
I think you might be right.
And that tent's growing.
Yeah.
And now the tent includes a pipeline to the Lower Mainland, and now it's like double thumbs up to a pipeline down to Wyoming. So all of a sudden they're like, hey, he's not so bad.
I kind of have a little bit of sympathy right now for Pierre Poilievre, because I don't know what you could add to the conversation that. I mean,
you can't say no to it.
No, I mean, there's nothing that you can add to the conversation when these things are happening except overspend, no planning, long term. So I'm hoping that we hear more from the opposition over the coming weeks, that Albertans are actually talking about real issues, that there are things that, there's a lot of conjecture in planning, Jim. When the rubber is actually going to meet the road on these projects, I think is going to start to really matter to Albertans. And I think Pierre Poilievre has an opportunity right now to apply that pressure. And if that does something for all of Canada by saying, okay, you said you were going to do this, you're blowing all this money.
You can't not do it now.
Right.
So you can't not do it.
It's interesting to watch the pressure game that's on. Alberta's putting pressure on the federal government. The federal government's trying to give them everything they can for Christmas this year so that they'll come move in with Dad. And and then of course the Conservatives are out there going, hey, don't be careful.
Now, okay, think about what you just said though. Now that's a great point you brought up, Mike. So here's Alberta saying, make sure you get those pipelines built. Don't forget about us. Manitoba, better improve Churchill and get right. Toronto and Doug Ford, they want to expand the Billy Bishop Airport in Toronto Island, basically double it so they can land jets. Don't forget about us. And then so you keep going east, and everyone's like putting their hand up and like, hey, Mark, and he's getting pulled on all sides. So it's a real delicate balance.
And his own party, by the way, is full of some very, very left-leaning liberals still that are wondering, what are you doing? You said no pipelines. You're destroying the planet. So I think either he sits quietly in an office away from a lot of voices and sticks to a plan that he has in his mind, or you're right, he's being pulled in a bunch of different directions.
Now, there are some of those in the know in Ottawa that say the party whip, the person that metes out discipline, for the Liberals, basically have told the backbenchers and everyone, either you lead, you follow, or get out of the way. This is how we're doing things. You better not say it in public. If you want to meet with them in private and say something, fine. I don't want to hear it on the CBC. I don't want to read it in the Globe and Mail. I don't want you to see you know what I mean? We're in this tent, stay in the damn tent. We're going to try to get things done.
We're going to weather this together inside the tent together.
Wow. But Mike, it's little things too, I think, if you're in Western Canada. I mean, think about all your years in music. Now, what is a Canadian tour? It's a band or an artist coming Montreal and Toronto. That's the Canadian tour. And if you're in Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, who have huge facilities, brand new facilities, they're like, you don't play here anymore?
No.
Is that
something that's
right? And so, and then the RBC Canadian Open Golf, the great event. They've not played in Western Canada, Mike, since 2011 in Vancouver.
And oh my God, it's been that long?
It's been either Ontario or Quebec.
Oh, wow.
From 2012 on.
That's true.
So then there's some world-class golf courses in Western Canada and BC, and they're like, can you move it around a bit? It's the Canadian Open.
That's so true.
And so there is the feeling like, does everything have to happen within a 5-hour drive between Toronto and Montreal?
I would prefer it personally.
Right.
But I can see their point.
Let's truly be a national federation. Let's truly have events and music and culture and business for all, from coast to coast.
Jim, let's take a hard right now, okay? Let's go to the land where there's an upheaval. I'm trying to understand what it would be well, the economy is doing okay in Alberta and Albertans are starting to make some headway. But let's say that there's a tsunami of effect against the federal government in that province. And by the time we get to a referendum, this actually is going to a vote and they separate. Now, who leads this country? What do they do? Are they a separate country? They have to get into a negotiation with Canada to separate. We own a lot of Crown land inside of that province.
Well, okay, so real quick, not only Crown land, but some major military bases.
Okay.
And with huge amounts of military equipment, that's part of Canada.
Okay.
And then yeah, hey, we vote to separate. It doesn't the next day separate. Then you'd have to have a vote. How do you leave Confederation? It's not as simple as going on Amazon and ordering, and it arrives the next day.
What's your currency standard? What is your trade standard? Are you endorsed by another country?
Do you have borders now?
Yeah. Where are your borders?
I mean, do you have to show a passport to get to Saskatchewan or BC?
And you don't think Saskatchewan and BC would have some issues with the actual border lines now that are often sort of nebulous between provinces? I would imagine that would be. So
you know Lloydminster?
Yeah.
Lloydminster.
Yeah.
And I've been there. There's a road. On this side of the road, it's Saskatchewan. And that side of the road, it's Alberta.
My God.
It straddles both provinces.
You're gonna find yourself having to sew together an entirely new.
So I want to go to Tim's in Alberta. I got to show my passport.
Exactly.
But then I want to go to McDonald's in Saskatchewan. I got to show it again.
I have a feeling that Alberta will open their own coffee chain at the gas station on the other side of the border, where everybody goes to get their gas.
Danielle's.
The price. Danielle Smith's coffee. I do
Smith
like
coffee.
it. And that leads me. Okay, so I'm marginally interested in how they do it. I'm more interested in, let's say that Danielle Smith leads this new country. Not saying that she would,
but just for sake of argument, she does.
Would she be prime minister? Would she create a parliament? Would she be a chancellor? Chancellor Smith is pretty cool.
Or would she have a republic and she'd be the president of Alberta?
Yeah, or a banana republic, and she could be a general.
Yeah, did you ever listen to Mo Smith?
Right. So I mean, I'd be curious to see how all that pans out. However, the conjecture that we have over this really isn't that separatism is a reality. It's a real sentiment.
Yeah, it's a real emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, come on, guys. You can't. I mean, I know and especially if you look at the cabinet for Carney, it's so heavily focused on the Toronto-Montreal corridor and all the power brokers and Philippe Champagne and Melanie Joly and everyone else. And you're like,
well, it's really hard to get the Conservatives in the West inside your party based on the last 10 years. And Alberta's had a lot to complain about over the last 10 years.
And no one listened to them. They were basically shooed away. And the Stephen Guilbeaults of the world and Wilkinson and Trudeau said, we don't need you. There's no business case for natural gas and oil. And now there's the biggest business case in the history of oil and natural gas.
Do you remember that feeling where people were like, "Oh, Alberta's mega, make Alberta great again"? No, that wasn't what was going on out there. There was an industry failing. The price of oil determines so much how those people can live and what their futures can be like, and we relied on that province to provide us that stability for so long that you have to give that comfort level consideration to Alberta, who were the first to start screaming about immigration overages. We're the first to start complaining about capital gains. They keep an eye on things in Canada that we don't give them credit for.
Well, you guys were just in Calgary for the Conservative Convention. Calgary is the financial epicenter of the West.
Yeah.
It is the Bay Street of Western Canada.
Yeah, you got the Bow Building right there.
And all the billions of trillions of dollars of investment for the tar sands, for the pipelines, for the buildings, for the infrastructure, it all flows out of Calgary. There's a lot of brilliant financial minds out of that city and out of that business community, Mike. That you can't discount it. You can't discount their expertise, their how smart they are, how experienced they are, their wherewithal, their know-how, and their ability to say, wait a sec, this isn't fair, and we're not going to stand for it.
You know the other thing, Jim, that they have going for them? They have provincial patriotism.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everywhere you go in Alberta, they're proud to be from Alberta.
Of course
Love
they
to
are.
be from Alberta.
Yeah.
Alberta is where they want to be. And Ontario, for example, has a very entitled feel to it. I'm entitled to be
Depending
part
where
of
you are in the province, I find.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
the GTA,
Yes.
that Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa corridor has a very what feels like entitled. Not that they're patriotic at all about the province. For the most part, they're just from Toronto or Ottawa.
Here's a good example.
Not you, Jim. You fall outside that realm.
There's a better than good chance that the majority of population of Alberta have been to Ontario or Quebec for some reason.
Right.
But at the same time, the majority of population in the Toronto-Montreal corridor have never been to Alberta.
That's very interesting. I wonder what the stats are on that, but it feels that way to me. We make a lot of opinions about the West every day when they make any noise at all.
So you've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I now have a daughter that lives there. I've been there for business.
She's taking the crew out for dinner. I
Apparently,
understand.
Olive Garden's on her.
That's very nice. Is Olive Garden back?
Yeah, it's in Edmonton.
Oh my
And it's
good God.
they're just about to open in Ottawa too, where my other daughter lives.
Edmonton, we want you to sign up for our event. So keep an eye. You'll see more about that coming up and many other places across the country.
And more importantly, for the people that are going to your tour stop when you guys are there, we want to hear the good and bad and ugly of what you feel right now in Canada. What you feel is good, what you feel is bad, and what you feel needs to change.
We can have reasonable arguments too. Watch this. I think Carney's just terrible.
You know what? I have mixed feelings about him. Part of him I find cringeworthy.
I don't like him.
But at other times, you know what? He does some things I have to
I don't like
admit.
the way you talk about Trump.
Well, he's a dick.
You can sit down and have a chat with us, and that's going to be the result. A chat.
But more importantly, this whole channel was made not for us, but for the people that watch and people listen.
Without discussion, nothing good can happen.
But look at all the comments from Sam Cooper's recent episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at all the comments and some of the conversations we've had about different topics. People have things to say, and that's what it's all about.
We are going to a model whereby we will require your support. So if you like what you're doing, please comment, subscribe, tell a friend about it as we make our way across Canada. We're going to localize this a little bit so that we can hear more from you and interact with discussions that matter most to you right there at home. Jim, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
It.
Go Alberta.